Welcome back to Game Day Recap. How about the Bucs? One step closer to locking up the division for a 5th straight season, but they can't afford any slip-ups because the Carolina Panthers at 7-6 are nipping at their heels. All of a sudden, postseason potentially for the Panthers doesn't seem that far-fetched. These two teams, by the way, still have to meet. Ironically, they'll both take on the Saints next. Of course, the Panthers are getting ready to go on a bye, so they'll play them in 2 weeks. The Bucs, meanwhile, will play them next week. I mentioned it. Both of these teams have to play each other twice. The Bucs have to play the Dolphins as well as the Falcons, who we saw not play very good today against the Jets. And the Panthers also got to play the Seahawks. Back here on Game Day Recap with the fellas. We're going to start with the Buccaneers. We all watched the Bucs last week, and we watched Baker Mayfield just get beat up in prime time. He hurt the shoulder, and it kind of felt like we were pumping the brakes a little bit on the Bucs in terms of their playoff run and what that was going to look like. However, they got some pieces back. Baker did his thing. Tristan Wirfs scored a touchdown here as well. Rand, how would you evaluate the Bucs to this point based on what you saw from their performance today?
Well, I was really interested to see how Baker Mayfield was going to play. How loose was he going to play with that left shoulder banged up? How would he be able to protect himself? To me, the key was getting Bucky Irvin and his explosiveness back in the lineup, because I think he just adds a different element, brings a different level of speed to that team that they need right now, because they don't really have that true home run threat in the offense right now. And I think getting him back really helps them a lot. And I want to see them continue to feed him and lean on him more as the season progresses, to allow Baker to get healthy and get back to his true form.
Look, Baker, we know he's a tough guy.
Yeah.
I think they forced him out of the game last week. He wanted to stay in that, and it just shows you the competitor that he is. Was he great today? No. He missed some throws. He had some drops. It just never really got into a rhythm. But when you find a way to win games like that, that's a good sign, particularly with the way the division's going with Carolina breathing down the neck. One flaw with the Bucs that I keep seeing week in and week out is rush the passer.
Yeah.
Way too much time for Jacoby Brissett today to just sit there and make throws. And even when he scrambled and get outside the pocket, he made some plays. So, they know that. They got to get Reddick going again. He's back in there now. Diaby's got to get going again. He's had a pretty good year, but they need to get their pass rush going.
Yeah, the pass rush hasn't been good. It has been good to see Chris Godwin back playing healthy. He did have a couple drops today, but he's going to be a veteran guy that Baker Mayfield's going to have to depend on. No Mike Evans. Like, you've got to have Chris Godwin as your true #1 receiver, or 1B to Emeka Egbuka. Yeah. But he's that veteran presence to the young rookie superstars. So having Chris Godwin back is going to be good. Those drops kind of threw off their rhythm and timing as an offense as a whole today. But once they reestablish that connection, that's going to be one of the better connections in pro football, along with Baker Mayfield to Emeka Egbuka. So having those two weapons on the outside with Bucky Irvin, that's going to be great for the Bucs.
Yeah, and people don't realize the importance that Chris Godwin plays in that offensive system. Not just from his receiving ability, but what they ask for him to do in the run game.
Yes.
And him playing in the slot, him playing outside. Even with Mike Evans in the lineup, his role that they have Chris Godwin playing is a very key role for that offense.
They do need Mike Evans back, though.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's talk he might be able to make it back for the postseason at some point, but I mean,
better get there.
Evaluate this team with and without him. Let's say
he's a field stretcher. Look, when I was there in training in May, I had a conversation with Baker Mayfield. He says, look, no matter what we do on offense, it runs through Mike in the run game. Mike in the run game. And, well, Mike's not there, so now they got to get the run game going better.
Bucky Irvin's back.
Got to get him going. 17 rushes on 61 yards and a touchdown. Of course, it was his first game back. He was dealing with an ankle and a shoulder, I think, as well. So a lot for Bucky Irving there. We got to talk about the Panthers, guys, because all they do is win big games. First, it was the Packers a couple of weeks ago, and everyone was like, it's a fluke. And this stat I thought was interesting as well. 2025, the Bucs and the Panthers are both 5-0 in games decided by 3 or fewer points this season. So just to kind of give context to how good the Panthers have really been this year. Rand, when you look at the body of work and how this team started and the conversation surrounding the quarterback, right, how much more improved is this Panthers team? And realistically, how big of a threat are they down the stretch?
Oh, they're a real threat. They're a real threat because they're playing a brand of football that I don't think the rest of the people in their division is fit to deal with at this point, because they're playing with a we don't have anything to lose mentality. And I think we're seeing Bryce Young grow up right in front of our eyes. Everyone's been critical of him and his play, the turnovers, him in and out of the lineup as the starting quarterback. And all he's been doing here lately is taking what the defense has given him, making plays and taking care of the football. And again, we have that backfield with Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard. It seems like Dowdle gets going and then he gets stifled a little bit. And today Chuba Hubbard had a day and was able to have, some production in the run game, some production in the pass game as well. But if you look at today, what stood out to me with their performance against the Rams was that they forced 3 turnovers. They were able to take the ball away from the Rams. And I try this one on for size. Coming into the week, the Rams had only turned the ball over 4 times. They only had 4 giveaways. And then they turned the ball over 3 times today. And that was just that defense being opportunistic, and they were without J.C. Horn in the game. And Michael Jackson, I believe, had a pick 6. I know he had a pick, but I think he took it back to the crib for a score. And so they're just getting production from everybody and don't care who or where they get it from as long as they have one more point than the opponent at the end of the day. And this is what team football is all about.
You know what I love? Oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
What I love about the Panthers right now, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I mean, he
go
did it to my guy Rand, so I got to give him back. What I love about this Panthers team is the fact that everybody's contributing because they just want to spoil everybody's parade right now. They want to be the dream killers for all of these good teams that they play against. I mean, we see what they did. You talked about what they just did to the Rams. They've been number 1 in your power rankings for a long time, and they made Matthew Stafford look kind of pedestrian to a degree. I mean, 2 picks today. 2.
And a fumble.
They had pressure on Matthew Stafford all day long, and we were sitting here talking about him as the clear-cut front runner for the MVP. But I'll say this. I've said it once. I got to say it again. I'm so damn proud of Bryce Young. His maturation, his poise, his ability to just stay locked into the task at hand. I think that all of the guys around him have noticed that over these weeks, over the years of his career, and they're finally buying in with him. And just the way that he goes about his business, he always got a smile on his face. He's always up to the task whenever his number is called. The guys are rallying around him right now. They're just playing good football.
David, he's having fun.
Yeah,
yes,
that's what I was
so
gonna say.
much
He looks
fun.
like he's having fun.
And like, there were so many times where we've talked about, like, it just don't look like the same Bryce from Alabama because he was making plays, he was smiling, he was dancing, he was doing his thing. We didn't see that a lot early in his career. We're starting to see that again. And, regardless of who you cheer for, just being a fan of the game, you love to see guys out there that have been through some adversity find their way out and have some fun.
Do we forget that was 6 days ago they went to San Francisco on a Monday night and looked awful and he looked terrible? I mean, we forget that?
Thank you so much for always bringing us down to earth.
That's the problem with this team right now. They're up, they're down.
Yeah.
They're up, they're down,
And
just like he is. And he's up and down and up and down.
Not him calling you out.
I thought he was talking about me for a second. I was like, what did I do? Bryce Young. Yeah, Bryce Young. He's just but still, you got to give him some love because for so long they've just been here. They've just been down.
Right.
Like, yes, there's going to be some ups. They don't know how to handle success. They haven't had a lot of it.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So there's going to be some ebbs and flows. But from a team that's been one of the worst, not just in terms of players, but structurally from top to bottom.
Yep.
They've been one of the worst teams in the league for a very long time. Even whenever they have it up and they go back down, you still have to cheer for them when they get there.
Listen, what they're building, because they are building something.
Yes.
Right? So we have to keep that in mind.
Yep.
This is what, year 2, year 3 of the Canales Morgan group. So they're learning. And we said it before here on the show that Haley was talking about when they put it in their hype video. This is a young team that's learning how to win games. If they continue on this trend with the type of players that they're bringing in, with the type of mindset that they're creating in Carolina, they are going to be a problem in not only the NFC South, but the NFC.
Listen, they're winning games when it matters. They took down the Packers. They won today. They have 7 upset wins this season.
And then they have a bye week, and then who do they play again?
The Saints.
And what happened the last time they played the Saints? It was one of those downers, and they lost at home. You got to win that game.
You have to, definitely, especially after what we saw from the Saints today. Something that we all have kind of touched on to this point was the effect that this had on Matt Stafford. And from a betting standpoint, we've been talking about Matt Stafford leading the charge in terms of the MVP conversation. Coming into today's game, Matthew Stafford was leading the way at minus 300 in terms of the favorite to be the MVP. With today's performance, that now drops to plus 110, with Drake Maye behind him at plus 130. So obviously other people are seeing maybe one bad game, Pete, from Matt Stafford. Did he play that badly today to have people questioning whether or not he's the MVP?
Well, I mean, if you look at it on the paper, the turnovers were what cost him the game. So, yeah, ultimately, yes, it was definitely him. I mean, he was responsible for it, and the odds come down. Look, that thing's wide open anyways. I think Drake Maye's right in the conversation. He goes out tomorrow night and plays really well. He might move ahead of him.
Agreed.
I think he's ahead of him now.
Agreed. I mean, based off the most recent performance, I think Stafford's performance today was enough to put him behind Drake Maye. Not because Stafford played that bad, but that's how good is Drake Maye playing right now?
We're going to sound the Homer alarm. In a second.
Right. That's your cop out. That's your cop out. Homer, or the other one is, we'll see in the next game. We'll see.
I need to see it one more.
Yeah, I need to see it.
That's it. No, Drake Maye's had a great year. He's right in the conversation. I'm not saying he didn't, but I don't think he's the MVP right now. I think Stafford is.
I still think it's mind-blowing to me again that Drake Maye is having the year he's having, and we're talking about him as being the front runner, and he is still yet to have a 300-yard
It's
passing
amazing.
game. That is like mind-blowing to me. But that, again, we talk about the Eagles and having the disease of me, right? Everyone's focused on their numbers. Drake Maye is just doing whatever my team needs me to do to win a football game. If that's throwing for 5,000, I'll throw for 5,000. But if I need to throw for 250 and hand the ball off and run the clock off, we're going to do what we got to do to win the football game.
Let me play spoiler here for a minute, devil's advocate, if
Okay.
you will, right? Because we just talked about Matt Stafford, and he was here, and then he has one bad game, and now all of a sudden we've got questions. Knock on wood for all the Patriots fans out there, but let's say Drake Maye goes out tomorrow, maybe didn't have his best performance. Maybe the Giants make him seem a little human. How does that change the conversation? Because then we have another game where Drake Maye maybe doesn't meet expectations. Is this just a constant back and forth of who's not going to have a bad week, or what's your metric?
Recency bias. I mean, that's a thing. It's alive and well. We talk about it all the time in college football. It's an NFL. When you talk about MVPs, things like that, it's all about recency bias. So how Drake Maye plays tomorrow, we're going to compare that. Well, the odds maker in terms of who's going to be the MVP favorite, they're going to compare his last performance to Stafford's last performance. Stafford turned the ball over 3 times. If Drake Maye doesn't do that, then and they win, regardless of what his numbers or his stats look like, he has to jump Stafford in the odds, but just because of his most recent performance.
Yeah, I don't ride the week-to-week train. You know, that it's going to happen. We know what this league is. We've only had one undefeated team in the history of the game, so teams are going to lose. No matter how good we think they are, no matter how high we put them on our power rankings, people are going to lose. That's what's going to happen. Guys are going to play bad. It's just going to happen. So for me, I'm not riding the week to week. It's okay. Like, I need to pay more attention here. Why did these things happen? Is this a trend? Is this something that is starting to become a habit as to why they're playing bad? But we'll see at the end of the season. That's ultimately what it's going to come down to, and where these teams finish.
But it clearly looks like it's a 2-man race right now. I mean,
Stafford and Maye?
Yes, because
Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor's kind of fallen off a little bit.
Cool.
I mean, where else do you go? Dak Prescott, if he brought the Cowboys into the playoffs, maybe. I mean, he's got to really continue.
Let Haley tuck that hair behind the ear.
But where else do you go?
Let me put this. Let me think about this. And this isn't because I'm advocating for this guy. I'm just thinking in terms.
Yeah.
No. I'm just thinking of in terms of if he continues to have the type of year that he's having right now.
Mac Jones?
Christian McCaffrey.
Oh.
Sorry. No, I know. We got to reel it in. Get your point out, I promise.
Christian McCaffrey?
He leads the league in receptions. He leads the league in carries. He leads the league in all-purpose yards. He might lead the league in all-purpose touchdowns. So if you have a guy like that at the end of the season, he carries San Francisco to the playoffs, he could be a name to throw in that conversation by the time it's all said and done.
Okay. Very spirited conversation. Of course, we'll have to wait.
Y'all
and
good
see.
now? Y'all get all the kikis and ha-has out?
Yeah, we did. That was our bad.
It's
I
all
got caught
good.
up in that. Let's hit another break here on Game Day Recap. Man, oh man, do the Vikings wish that guy was still behind center in Minnesota. Instead, he picks up a win against his former team. We're talking Seahawks next on Game Day Recap.